Thank you everyone for joining us. Good evening. We are going to just rush right into our Divine Connection show this evening, starting with what is a divine connection? A divine connection are those associations or relationships that God has preordained for us. And joining us today is our two beautiful guests. We have Monica Wright and also Billie Gilliam. Hey ladies, hi.
Hey.
I am your host, Katrina Deal-McCall.
And I am your host, Clotia Mack.
Hey, all right, ladies. Okay, so speaking of divine connection, I would love for you to share a little bit about your divine connections and the things you. First, if you can speak a little bit about what you do, and then we'll move right into those divine connections. So let's start with Miss Monica.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Minister Monica. I have been in chemical dependency as a counselor, started out as a counselor for 27 years. I am the clinic director at Cleveland Comprehensive Treatment Center, and I also have my own private practice called Truly Transform LLC, which is a faith-based substance abuse ministry as well. And I'm right actually next door to Billie, and my office is right next door to yours, Billie.
Oh my goodness!
Now, see, listen, that's a divine connection already. That's already a connection. All right, Billie.
Okay. I'm not in that office anymore, Monica, so I have to update you. I'm not have to update you. So, Billie Gilliam, I am a mental health therapist and chemical dependency therapist. I have been doing this for about 15 years now. I am in private practice. I just recently stopped. I don't want to say just recently. No, January is still recent, I guess. But just stopped doing like a whole lot of agency work and just really kind of settled down and doing a lot of projects that I think I'm supposed to be doing. So mental health issues, chemical dependency issues, relationships. I work with couples as well. Also had started a podcast in February. I want to say the second and third week of February of Hell in the Hallway, which is something I'm just really trying to get started, which is for individuals who find themselves stuck between who they once were and who they're trying to be, and they're comfortable in that. They're still hanging on to doors that should be shut. So, and just doing workshops here and there. And I like to write. So that's me.
Absolutely awesome. So with that being said, Billie, you had just one key word I picked up on. You said helping people shut those doors that should be shut. So, overcoming those, doors that should be shut. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So, there are many times that we will, we may either leave a circumstance or be pushed from a circumstance, and so we should be moving on to the next thing, right? We should be able to do that. But that's kind of scary sometimes because peace can feel very foreign and chaos can feel very comfortable. So we may not be in that circumstance anymore, but we're stuck in a hallway. We're stuck in transition. We're not quite who we used to be, and we're not quite who we should be, and so individuals find themselves in those places and not able to move forward. Or I had posted the other day, like sometimes I find myself hanging out at doors that God long shut. Like, why am I still here? I'm sitting here with, popcorn, like I'm waiting for it to open by up. Like I need to be there, I need to move forward. I need to move on. And I have to kind of recognize the gift of who I am and the uniqueness of who I am and who we all are, right? So I can actually take hold of where I'm supposed to be, I'm not there's no more edits, you know what I'm saying? There's like, I am the original, there's no more edits of Billie. There's no more edits of Katrina. There's no more edits of Monica and/or Clotia. And so when we recognize the true individuality of that and the true gift, we need to own that and be able to move forward to that next step. So I'm constantly trying to look for areas where I'm still hanging out at the door that should have been, that is shut and has been shut for a long time.
Okay, that is super awesome. And with that, those divine connections, those connections open doors. as well, connecting with people to help them
Yeah.
people open doors. So Monica, can you speak a little bit about connecting or circumstances that have happened where you connected with the individual to help them open doors or move forward through your job and what you do?
I remember years ago when I first kind of got in the field, it was probably the first time I worked at a methadone clinic. And I remember I had one client and he didn't, and I'm just using the faith-based part of it because for me, that's just who I am. And that's my ministry, you know, for real, because this particular client came in and he was struggling trying to figure out who God was in his life. And I never pushed the word on anybody. I never pushed anything that I believe on anybody, but he knew that he just knew. He was comfortable talking to me. And so he would always mention about God and his anger toward God and blah, blah, blah. So, and I remember I was learning how to, at that time, to really be able to openly talk about God and counsel at the same time. And I remember I had this calendar and it had different scriptures that was in it. And I gave it to him. And all I kept hearing is give this to him. And I gave it to him. He started reading. And the next thing I know, probably about 5 years later, he ended up becoming a minister. And so when you talk about divine connection,
yes,
we are all destined to be somewhere, and we have people connected to us and we don't realize it. So like Billie was saying, being stuck in that hallway and knowing that I'm no longer supposed to be there. Well, it's people on the other side of the hallway that are waiting for you to understand that now you need to come down that hallway and come get me because I'm still stuck because you stuck.
Wow.
So is that one of the most rewarding? Because when I thought divine connection, I think divine connection between people. But looking at both of you, a part of your job is to help people make a divine connection with the divine.
Exactly.
Is that one of the most rewarding parts of your job? The fact that you can use your divine connection to help others to make their divine connection with our Father, somebody who was like, yes, come on. You know, is that a rewarding part of your job?
I'll go real quick. I would say yes. And I would also say, because you're going to always have people who will never believe in God right then and there. So when you talk about divine, it's more or less that spiritual awakening that they now realize that they are better than what they thought. They're not that negative person that, you know, they got told, or you'll never be this and you'll never be anybody, or you just like so and so. And look, you know, they start to realize that I am somebody, you know, so that's rewarding.
And what I say to that is, you know, and you know, the part that's kind of wonderful, sometimes people think that as clinicians that we can't like talk about God, which is not true. What people have to do is they open that door up. And when they open the door, when they tell me, like, when we go to the intake and they say what their belief system is, and then when they mention that, I was like, hey, is that something that you want to be part of your, you don't have to, that's what you want to be part of your process? And they say, yeah. Then I'm like so juiced up.
Like, hey.
Oh, this is about to be real good now. Like, you got some stuff coming, right?
Right.
So you're excited because you know that, oh, there's so much more that I can do.
Right.
There's so much more, you know? But what I will also say is that for those people who don't do that, and that's not what's in their background, because that's who I am, they're still getting it. And so I may not be the end product, I may not see it, but I may be some seed, I may be something that they plant, right?
Yes.
I may be something that's there that I don't see the outcome of it, and that's okay, because I don't have to, right? But I'm still supposed to reflect that image. I'm still supposed to do that. And so I could be, for all I know, is planting seeds in a person, and then they suddenly say, you know what, I went to church today. Like, I wasn't even, like, you don't even know. Or I read this scripture, because people will do that. People who have never brought anything Christian to me will say, you know what, I was reading something, I want your take on it. And see, now I know there is a door. There's a door opening.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't push it. I'm not going to push you through it, because that's not my role. My role is to walk beside you at your pace, even if these little tiny baby toddler steps. If that's it, that's it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I have a question. So for either one of you, have you always wanted this type of job? Have you always, from Well, how did it come about?
Oh,
What
that's
was your
go ahead, Wright.
inspiration?
I wanted to be a lawyer at one point. I wanted to be a clinical psychiatrist at one point. I saw the big leather couch and the big bases. I saw all of that. And the Lord was like, girl, you're going in the hood. For the rest of your life, you're going in the hood. He's down in the hood with the drug dealers down the street, the prostitutes across the street. That was his plan. I came about the field. I was at Tri-C, and I had absolutely no clue what I was going to actually do. And I called her my angel. I haven't seen her in years. She was sitting behind me and she was telling somebody about the mental health program. And I can't remember what it was called now, mental health technology or something at the time at Tri-C back in 93-ish. And she was telling somebody about the program, and I turned around and it just sparked something in me. And I asked her about it, and it was on and popping after that. 27 years later.
All right.
That divine connection.
That divine connection.
Mhm.
Yes.
A divine connection for a moment. Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
What about yourself, Billie?
I first had a taste of this field as a senior in high school. So I had a teacher. He died just not too long ago, and his name was Mr. Weah, and he taught my intro to psychology class, right? And he taught all the girls. I used to wear this awful fuchsia color lipstick. He told all the girls to take out their lipsticks, right? And so we all take our lipsticks out. He says, now roll it up to the top, right? And so I roll it up to the top. I had Wet n Wild, so it was super cheap and super dry.
Oh, I missed them. I missed Wet n Wild. I miss Wet n Wild.
That was the lipstick that never came off. That was before.
Right.
Roll it up to the top, and I did, and we all did. And he said, the only reason you guys like this lipstick is because it represents the phallic symbol. And for those who don't know what phallic is, or phallus, that is symbolic of penis. Another word to say penis. Yes. And I was like, what? I was like, I only like this because it's like pink. I was like, what? I said, I'm 17 years old. I ain't got nothing to do with nobody's penis. Right. But I will say the field when I got to learn it was so intriguing, and that's part of that's a whole Sigmund Freud reference in terms of the lips. Yes, but I was so intrigued with the field, and I will say that kind of like a whole history of my life, I've been intrigued about the motivations of people. So I used to catch the bus to work as in high school, and I used to people watch, and I still people watch. I just watch people, watch them exchange with people and trying to figure out what's going on, what are they thinking, what's happening in their relationships, and so that has always been a part of who I am. So when you say how I fall into this job, it's like, when people's like, well, do you ever turn it off? I said, I don't know how you turn off something that's who I am. Like, this is kind of, this is who I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there isn't an off button. If I'm not speaking it, it's probably in my head, so people won't think, oh, he's analyzing me. So I'll keep it because I get that. I'll just keep it in my head and keep it to myself. But that's what I would say. It's just something that I'm honored. It's an honor to me that people allow me in their space of pain, and I do not take it for granted. It's such a huge thing. And I can't even believe that people just talk. They just talk to me. Like, I just can't believe this happens. And it's a gift. And I don't consider myself the gift. I consider the fact that they are giving, when they're giving me the gift. I know secrets that moms don't know, dads don't know. Right. Nobody knows.
Right.
And so when people share their pain, like, it's a lot, and I'm honored by that.
Yes. That's good.
So
that's good.
On your path, I'm thinking like you get into this field and you're doing your thing. Is there a divine connection that you can remember that shifted who you saw yourself as in the field, or shifted the trajectory of how you were going? So, because you get in, I remember as a teacher, you get in and you teaching and you fall into your patterns and your routines, and then you meet that person or you meet that student. It's like, this is why I'm here. And it totally changes the color of everything that you're doing. Is there a divine connection or someone that you remember that really kind of shifted your thinking or made you gave you a realization, or something that really kind of shifted your paradigm in regards to what you do. And not that they had to be low, but maybe it just made it better, or you got a different realization. But I think of these divine connections as people who come to uncover. It's like they come to uncover something that's in us, or they come to uncover another step, another direction that we're supposed to go into, and different things like that. So have you all had a connection like that that really kind of shifted who you were in your field?
I would say most definitely, because you have, as a counselor, therapist, clinical, whatever you want to call us, we got to deal with us first. It's like that, you know, how we say when the preacher got to get up and starts to preach. Well, you have to live the experience before you can have a testimony. So for me, every client that I've had showed me a little bit more of who I was, because I used to be a firecracker. I had no filter, none whatsoever. And when I first got in the field, and I'm gonna show you over time, when I first got in the field, I still had a bad attitude. I still didn't like dealing with women. I didn't like any of that. Just firecracker. The first job I had was at Hitchcock Center for Women, all women. I said, I'm gonna get fired tomorrow because one of these have to say something on the clock on. That would get fired tomorrow. Number one. And as I started getting more involved in working, I started seeing me. I started seeing myself in the clients, because a lot of times people hear substance abuse or drug counseling or whatever. It's like, oh, well, that's not me. No, yeah, it is you. It's just you chose not to pick up the crack, or you didn't pick up the alcohol, but you still got a bad attitude. You're still nasty, this, that, and the other. You still have issues, because it's the issues, the drinking and all of that stuff. That's just a symptom of, that's just something else. But the real stuff. So every client that I've had me look at me a different way. It has to, because in order for you to be able to relate to them, you got to deal with your stuff first. Every counselor needs a counselor.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Wow. What about you, Billie?
I would speak person. So I really want to highlight a professor I had in undergrad. His name was Dr. Brian Pesta. Like this little. He got to be like 5'6" white guy, you know, and he made us call us Brian. He wouldn't let us call him Dr. Pesta. And I remember at the time, because I was a psych major at the time, and I was like nervous about, like, I had went back to school, so I was an older student, like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I got to take all these classes. I want to be able to pursue my master's. Can I do? I don't know if I can. And you know, he sat down with me, and I love this guy. I actually used to write him every couple of years just to remind him, like, hey, you know you're still the best. Like, you know you're still the best. He would tell me, he sat me down, and he is one of the reasons why I went as far as I did and still plan on going further. He said, let me tell you something. He said, do not be impressed by any of these people here with a PhD. He's like, you can do this. He's like, anybody can do this. He said, if you work hard enough, he said, listen, I see what you do. I see what you're about. He said, you can do this. He's like, do not believe we are gods, because we're not. He's like, you can do this. He said, I know this so well, Billie, because I teach it 4 or 5 times a day. So it looks like that I got this infinite knowledge. He was like, no. He said, I just teach it 4 or 5 times a day. He was like, you'll get it too. He was like, so don't be overly impressed with these people. He said, don't. He said, you can have whatever it is they have. You can do that. He said, do not. And I held that. And he was the main reason why I applied for grad school. He was the main reason. So I don't look at people, and I'm not marveled by people in such high stature places anymore, where I used to be. I don't marvel at them. You know, I was telling somebody earlier, I had to do a workshop at Cleveland Clinic because I was in a room full of doctors and stuff like that. Like, historically, that would be like, oh my God, like what if they, you know, I'm just not there. Because they're human beings just like me, and they went through a process just like I'm going through a process. So he helped change the trajectory of my life in terms of me completing and I only had a certain amount of time. So I was taking 21 credits at a time. Like, I was killing myself. Like, but I got it done. It was there. Yeah. I had to shove all this time in a time, because that was the deal I made with my then husband at the time. I said, I'll get it done. I'll just have to have it done in this period of time, because I wasn't working. So I was saying in regards to him, and just like what Monica said, it is so pertinent. Like, I do see myself in clients, and I almost feel like God put these people in front of me, because when I say something to them, I was like, oh, that's for you. That's for you.
Wow. Yeah. Divine connection. Mhm.
Right.
Because there are three things that are always happening in the clinical process, right? There's what's happening with the client, their content, their nonverbals, and there's what's happening in the relationship between you and that space between you and the client. That's what's happening. And then there's what's happening with you. So that's the part we miss out as clinicians. We can miss out on that. And that's the dangerous one to miss out. You got to know, why am I responding this way? Why am I feeling this way? What is going on with? Because certain clients will trigger certain things in you. And so you have to be very much in tune to that, so you know what to do with it, right? So I would say Dr. Brian Pester, number one, but also in terms of with clients themselves, who as I work with them, parts of me becomes more whole.
Yes, that's good. That's good. So with those, well, I'm not sure how many clients you actually see a day or a week, but is there any particular situation that comes to mind that you were given like confirmation? Because God always gives confirmation. This is what I sent you to do. This is what I want you to do. In the right place at the right time. Has there ever been that, like, just no doubt that this is confirmation that you're where you're supposed to be?
Most definitely. It's too many to count, but yes, he has. Right when you feel like giving up, and you don't. Sometimes you don't think that people hear you, the ones that you've been sent to, whether it be staff or clients or whatever, and you question your own ability. Like, why am I doing this? Is anybody listening? Anybody hearing me or whatever? And then all of a sudden somebody just out of nowhere just come and be like, oh, Miss Monica, thank you for, or I heard you, or this, that, and the other, or just, you see them and they come back. I remember one time I was working at Job Corps, and I was at that place. And one of the girls, when she first got there, she always had her hand over her mouth. And when I saw her, I said, why do you have your hand over your mouth? I said, when you talk to me, you can't do that because I need to see your face. She said, I do it because my teeth are missing. She was like 20 years old. And I said, I don't care if all your teeth missing. I said, I need to see your face. And I remember I was just struggling. She walked up to me. She said, Miss Monica, she said, you notice I don't have my hand on my mouth no more. She said, Miss Monica, I just want to thank you because I know who I am today. And I looked at that little girl and I boo-hooed like a baby because I was right there like, God, I'm not coming back in here no more. Wow. And he said, no, you are coming back in here. So let me shift the atmosphere. So God is awesome.
Wow.
That's so good. And you said confirmation, right? I would, I said definitely as it pertains to with clients when they're telling me, and I was just telling a colleague, I said sometimes you're fooled about who you think you impact, right? So I'll have somebody who have so I see a lot of people in a week, and there are some individuals who have really flat affects, like the way they present their mood. It's really like I feel like they're not even absorbing it. Like, why do you keep coming every week? Like, is this working?
Yeah.
Sometimes like that, right? And then we'll go number, and I work with people for long periods of time. And so I'll say, hey, are you interested in, we've got these kind of goals done, so maybe we can kind of taper down. We'll look at it bi-weekly. And they're like, no, I'm here every week. And I'm like, for real? I was like, I didn't even think you was getting anything out of it for real.
Yes.
And so you're like, oh, I am doing okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you just never know. And it's just so, and again, it's really a blessing because people will tell you that you have impact. What I will say that's important, though, I work really hard to tell people, hey, I really appreciate that, but I try to volley it back to them. I was like, because you're the one doing the work, right? Because I don't need you to be feeling like this is all what Billie doing. Like, no, Billie just walking alongside you. Like, you do the actual work. You show up here, and then the things that I ask you to implement, you try it, and all I require is a willingness. That's all I require. I don't need you to say that you're gonna do it. I need you a willingness to say that you might think about doing it, and then I'm good. Like we can start there,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say like the people themselves let you know that hey, you in the right place. You in the right place. And you know, Monica, just to what you said, every now and then I'm like, real God, like still, you know, like still, because you know,
Exactly.
it is a lot, you know, because people think like because I sit and talk to people that my job is easy. No, I have to constantly protect myself.
Mhm.
It's exhausting to me. It's heavy. And then I carry people with me, you know, like sometimes I'll just burst out crying because I start thinking about what everybody is struggling with. And I'm like, this is exhausting, you know, and it tells me that that's when I need a break. Like I need a break because I see people 6 days a week. So that's like a lot. So,
Exactly.
A lot.
so yes. So yeah, I would say people in themselves provide that confirmation.
How important is it for you as healers and menders to make sure that you have someone who is healing and mending you as a divine connection in your circle? Because you do pour, and I always say you cannot pour out of an empty cup. People try it all the time, and it just leads to a lot of frustration and disappointment, a lot of other things. But how important is it for you? And I hope that this speaks to women and people who are always constantly giving. How important is it for you to have someone to pour into you, someone who you can be vulnerable with? Those times where you like, look, I ain't healing nobody today. I'm the healer. I'm the healer now. I need some healing. How important is it for you to have that? You know, because sometimes you feel bad at first. You're like, oh, I better answer this call. Oh, this person needs me to pray. Some days you like, no, self-care. I ain't doing it. I need somebody to talk to me. I need somebody to help me. So how important is it for you to maintain those divine connections with people who even may see you as a strong one? But how do you articulate, hey, I need you to be that person that can pour into me? I know you think I'm a superhero, but I need you to be there for me in this way. How important is that for you?
It's real important. And I actually I used to feel so guilty, but like, oh, I can't follow for work. Oh, I got to do that. Girl, listen, my happy place is my jewelry. My happy place is sitting this, especially now with this COVID, because every single day of the week, I'm up early. I'm always doing something even though I still had to go to work during the pandemic, not having to get up early on Saturday because I got to go minister. Not having to get up early on Sunday because pastor just get to minister and I don't have to do anything with the people. I still love the people, but I don't have to do anything. And I have now gotten to a place to be like, it is so okay for me to just sit still and absolutely do nothing. So now on Saturdays, just for instance, on Saturdays, I refuse to do anything related to picking up a piece of paper, a book, or anything. I just go to my happy place. I have my mentor who I can talk to if I need to. And other than that, I'm just okay just being quiet and just listening to the word. I do dance therapy. I get in the living room. I turn on my Tupac or whatever and my Zumba and I just dance and I do my thing and I just do my thing. And I'm okay with that today where I wasn't before. I wasn't before.
Yeah, that's good. I like that word, happy place. Don't call
place.
me. Phone on silent. I'm going to my happy place. Thank you. Place. Where is it? No, none of your business. Nobody knows what it is. It's exclusive. Okay. No visitors.
Yeah.
Right.
You, Billie, how do you maintain? How do you articulate that sometimes you need to be the person that's poured into or taken care of?
I think that's funny that you say that, Clotia, because I will text you.
I was hoping you would say that. I'm just kidding.
Because honestly, because if you are, when you're always in a position of giving, because you are when you're a clinician, and it's sometimes you kind of just need somebody who will talk to you on par and just to connect, and it's not about what can I pour, what can I give, so I appreciate those relationships where I can do that in, where I can feel like I'm not being a clinician, I'm a regular person. And that line is so important, and I don't have it a lot. I don't have that line often, actually. And so when I do get it, it's like, oh, look, I'm just a regular person.
Right. Yeah.
And that's nice, you know. And I do my studies more. I make sure I try to do a form of workout multiple times a week, because I have to. One thing that I do know I have to do, I have to kind of clear my head as much as possible before other things gets in, you know. And so, because if I don't, other people's stuff will nonstop get in, you know. And that's a lot. That can be a lot. I see between 28 and 30 people a week, and this is a difference. It's not like when you work.
Lord.
Yeah, I see 20, 30 people a week, and I mean on the hour, and people like show up for real. Right? So,
Yeah.
So they show up. You know, I tell them like, hey, are you making? No, I'm gonna be there. You know, like. But with that, the problem is that I don't catch a break. Number one, it's not like, it's a little bit different than working a regular job where you got, you know, hey, you kind of like chill for a few minutes and talk to a coworker and get something to eat and sit. No, it's like back to back to back to back to back. So I have to be able to find people to connect to that has nothing to do, that I'm not sitting there and I'm giving something. Right. You know? And you're right. When you say that, like, I'll get a call. I got one during this whole process now saying, can you please give me some tips on how to deal with it? I can't keep dealing with this. Like, and so I'm like, man, I can't do that, because that's a lot, you know, me just texting you, but you don't realize. So now my mind is thinking about what coping skills do I need to provide her. So now I'm at work still, even when I'm not at work, you know? So it's so, that boundary is so deep. It's so important to have them and to maintain them.
That's good.
I was just gonna mention, so in this season, season of sitting still, but God is still moving things in our lives and having us here and there. What does your next level look like? What do you, come on. We'll start with you.
Shut up.
Billie laughing, Monica switching. I'm like, uh-oh.
Hold up.
I'm scared of this answer. Where we going? Because I'm going with y'all. Where we going? Where we going?
Look, I can't even answer that question, because me and God got that kind of relationship. He say just do that, and I just be like, and I just go, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna ride the wind with a brother, because he be doing some stuff. You know, but what I do know is that, you know, what we had before March is no more. And we have to be willing to move as he moves, because he didn't shift it. And, you know, and like I'm telling folks, he has not shifted seasons because seasons end. He shifted the dimension. Dimensions don't end. They just go higher, you know, and we have to be prepared for that. So it's a lot of people who, Billie deal with the mental health piece, even though I do that, it's not my anointing. So that's not my anointing at all. Y'all hear me? The mental health piece is not my anointing. I know where to cut it off. So that's all Billie right there.
Like, that ain't it.
But there's a lot for me as a minister, more so I would say anything, because counseling is always going to be who I am, you know, as a profession. But as a minister, there's a lot of people that God is going to start putting into, I know, my life, period, to begin to be raw and real with them, because the field has taught me by itself that I can't sugarcoat. I never have. I learned how to be real with people, because you don't have time to play with people's life. When they come to you and you talk about that divine connection, God has allowed certain people who we are able to minister to. Me and Billie do the same thing as far as the counseling piece, the substance abuse stuff. We do the same thing, but we have a different call on our life to reach different people. And that's why it's so important for people not to get upset and jealous about somebody else doing the exact same thing that they do. Well, God is a God of diversity, yet it's all the same gift, but he has made it where each of us got something different to do. mine is to be able to let church folk know who really want Jesus. It's okay to be jacked up and still have a God who love you jacked up who you are. If you're homosexual, it don't matter, because I ain't that one that's gonna judge you. I'm not that preacher. I'm gonna lead you to him, because he the only one that can change you if that's what he so chooses to do. Because again, we can't put, I know I'm in that season of my life. Like I said, it's a dimensional change, but for me, the season of not being able to be open as I know that I need to be for somebody else because of the church. And now that's a whole nother topic. I'm not there anymore. I'm not there anymore, because people's life is dependent on what we say to them now, because Jesus is coming back sooner than later, and it's not time to be playing with his people anymore. So it just is what it is for me. So I'm willing to get kicked out of the church house. I'm willing to get kicked out of a whole lot of people's life to do what I got to do.
That's a whole nother video, honey. The difference between, because I think everybody's tired of church. It's time for kingdom.
Right.
Kingdom work, not church work. Church.
That's a 2-hour topic right there.
Right.
Yes. What about you, Billie?
Next, what's next? That's so loaded, you know. What's next? You know, I really think, here's what I will say. I think it's the same of what I'm doing, but I think it manifests differently. It's the same, but it's not going to be, I really don't, and it's something that I know, because I keep getting it, right? It's going to be the same, but it's a very different venue on what it looks like. And you know, here's the thing, I keep not wanting to deal with it, because I'm like, and I'm in my own space where I said, I'm very this is comfortable. Like this, I know, like this, I got this, like, I don't want to be fooled. Like, no, let me live in this space, because this is the place that I know, right? And I had posted about that. I was like, I will hang out as something because this is comfortable, you know, this is very comfortable. This is what I know. Anything else requires me to actually lean on God for, like, whoa, like, I don't even know. I don't know about that. I'm good. So I really would say that there is, and just to speak to you, to your point, Monica, is really true, is that there is an abundance. I never worry about what is for me, like all day long, and what is for you is for you. I don't really concern myself for that, right? Because there is a territory that I am assigned to, that we all have our particular assignments. And so they don't, you know, I don't worry about what I'm going to have and what I'm not going to have. You know, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be okay with that. And like what you said, when, as far as what, you know, how things are completely shifting and changing, what I have noticed is that even all the racial unrest and everything that we have that's happening, COVID and all this stuff, you know, I was like talking to a client and I said, I noticed that what we are seeing now, that how important love is, and how people didn't even realize how much they needed it before now. Because now we're isolated and we're starting to recognize what isolation does, because isolation is actually detrimental to your health. It is detrimental to your health. There's a lot of research that supports it, and it says that we really built for love. And so when we're put in position, because before we would all walk around like this, right? So we would all walk around disconnected, and now we're disconnected for real. And so we get to feel it. And it has a feeling. That's why I can see how people just keep breaking all the social distancing, because we actually need love. We need love over perceived safety, and that's huge to me. That was huge, you know. And it's not that I'm saying that we don't social distance, because I do think we should, but I do get it. I see it, get it, you know. So definitely in terms of, I think more of what I'm doing, I just think it's going to manifest kind of differently. And I just think it's in a way that I'm not comfortable with, which is probably the idea, you know?
That's the point.
And I have posted about that. God loves us when we're Jacob, and loves us when we're Israel. Like all the shady parts of us, who we are, things we've done, it's the same love, you know? That none of that, you know, the thought when I was I forgot what I was listening to when I was reading is that, you know, I guess what I would say is that you're not your errors. You know, you are not the totality of the mistakes that you've made. You are not the accumulation of your thoughts, if they're negative or anything. That's not the totality of who you are. You are deserving of you're deserving of abundance and of a good life. And that I'm hoping that and praying that you actually see the gift of who you are, you know, that you are not there's no more edits, that you are the original, and that you treat yourself as such.
Awesome.
Exactly where you are is where you're supposed to be. Even if it don't feel right or whatever, God is not the author of confusion. He has you right where he wants you, because baby, your testimony is going to be one that's going to be powerful and it's going to save somebody else's life. So just go through, because on the other side of through is a rainbow that he promised. And
Yes.
You got this. So just keep walking and do what you got to do. You're going to be all right.
Awesome. What about you, Miss Mac?
I would just say that you are not forgotten and you are God's beloved. The best thing that I've been able to do in my life is accept God's love, and so much came with that, but you are not forgotten. You are his beloved.
Yes. And I just want to add to that when he gives you an assignment and you know the assignment is going to totally push you out of your comfort zone, don't struggle with it. Just ask for help and walk through it, because you're going to be better on the other side of it. And like you, one of you had mentioned earlier, I believe it was Monica, that while you in the hallway, waiting in the hallway, you're slowing up someone else's next level or where they need to be. So just walk. He gives it to you. Just keep it moving, even though it's uncomfortable, but you're right where you need to be because it's uncomfortable. We can't grow when we're comfortable. So I want to thank you ladies once again. This was so good, so much great information. Love you much.
Love y'all too.
All right, you have a wonderful rest of the week, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
We edify, we uplift, we glorify. It's a divine connection.